it's Sasha here. Now this is the second video of the scapular stabilisation exercise videos. Now the reason for these exercises, which I'll show you in a moment, is to further increase your nervous system's awareness of the mid-back and scapular stabilising muscles, as well as to start to build some strength in that area. So before I show you the two exercises that we're going to do, I need to run through this with you first. So these exercises which we're going to perform, what we call isometric exercises. So they're holding exercises opposed to moving exercises. Now in order to achieve this, we need to follow this protocol. So we're going to hold each rep for 60 seconds. We're going to do 5 sets, 1 to 2 times per day, every day. Now a really good tip to warm up for these exercises is to actually do the scapular clocks which we showed you in the last video. So just running through this again, 60-second hold. So each rep is 1 rep and it's a 60-second hold. 5 sets, 1 to 2 times per day, and we do that every day. Now, there's 2 different exercises I'm going to show you. One's more for scapular stability and one's more for external rotation. So the first exercise for this more scapular stability focused exercise, we need a piece of equipment like this. Now the colour of these bands, they correlate with different resistances. So start off with the easiest resistance and then build your way up. Now this exercise is really easily done at the gym because they've got all the equipment, as well as they've got a pole like this, because you're going to need something where you can wrap this band around. So wrap it around like so. But before we engage in the posture that we want, I'm just going to remind you what that is. So in the last video, I mentioned to focus on bringing your scapula back, so retracting them and locking them against your rib cage. So we want to engage in that posture, we want to engage our scapula in that position, so it's already starting to activate those stability muscles. And then pop our arms through the little rings there and make sure that the pressure isn't put through your, directly over your wrist, because it's going to add a little bit too much pressure, and then really put the palms face forward. Okay, so if you can look like so, there's just a very light little bit of resistance on the band here. Now if I engage my scapular stabilizing muscles and place my scapula in the correct position, you can see it already adds a bit more resistance. Then from here, I want to make sure I draw my belly button to my spine and activate my glutes, engaging my core. I don't want my chin out forward, so I want to gently tuck my chin in and engage my deep neck flexors. So from here, we can move backwards, adding more resistance, so that band is essentially pulling my arms forward, and I want to resist that by locking my scapula in that position. And then coming forward. So there's still a little bit of tension, so we're not going to have zero tension because we want to hold this for 60 seconds. We're just varying the degrees of resistance. Back and forward. So time yourself for 60 seconds for that one, and we're doing 5 sets. That's exercise number 1. Now exercise number 2, we're going to need a TheraBand like this, tied up into a loop. And this is more for external rotators. So again, wrapping this around a pole or something like so. We're going to need a towel, pop it against your side, and just lock it in there with your arm. Now again, we don't want the TheraBand directly over your wrist, because it's going to put a little bit too much pressure through there. So just move it up your arm slightly. Now the purpose of this TheraBand, as you can see, it's going to pull my arm internally. It's going to pull my arm into internal rotation. So I'm going to counteract that by activating our external rotators. Again, like with the more scapular stabilizing focused exercise, and like with all the exercises when we're in a standing position, draw our belly button to our spine, activate our glutes, and gently tuck our chin in to activate our deep neck flexors. From there, making sure that our arm stays facing forward, because as soon as it starts to come in, then we start to lose the activation and strength that we want to be putting towards our external rotator. So forward, then we can start moving out, and we can see that resistance increases, and then we want to start moving back in. We don't want to move back in until we've got no slack, because that applies literally zero resistance. That means we're not working our external rotators. We just want to vary the degree of resistance. Make sure that our towel is there, and moving out, and in, and out, and back in. Also, a little tip that I like to do when I do this exercise is I actually like to put my other hand on my core, because it's just a bit of sort of tactile stimulus, so just a bit of feeling to make sure that we keep our core engaged the whole time. Now, so remember that for the first exercise we're doing both sides at once. This one we're only doing one at a time, so it's important obviously that you do both sides. Now, if you have any questions with this or any difficulty performing the exercise, or that you're not quite sure if you're doing it correctly, just double check with your chiropractor and they'll be happy to make sure that you're doing it as you're supposed to. Otherwise, thanks for listening and we'll see you next time.